with the stats. I mean, you can't have a better final
than this one, because what we had last year against Warri was a tight. You had some players playing at the Super Eagles, of course, playing in that game. What we're going to have now might just even be better, because you're having two players who happens to be the highest goal scorer in the league, 23 goals and 20 goals, of course, 43 combined from both of them this season. They will be on both sides. I think starting from there, that's really going to be a big and a crucial.
It's a good one, because in times past, I mean, an average football fan goes to the Federation Cup final and sits by a friend and he says, who is this guy? Who is that guy? Who is this guy? Who is that guy? But it's not the case anymore. They are the local stars. I didn't mean that in any abusive way, but the stars from the local league in the national team, easily recognizable, like some of the names you mentioned just now, and even some that are not in the senior national team, also recognizable faces as well. And I don't know, do you think that brings something back?
Yes, that's really, because some people have actually told me that they really want to go and see Umfom Udo. You know, that's the star player now. Some will tell you they want to go see Udo. That's something.
These guys really want the hype.
Precisely.
And they want to the stadium.
Exactly. So when you get there, you really want to see them play, and of course, not just seeing them play, get to identify with them. Yeah. And most people have been saying that, hey, Stephen Keshi, you should have used the home-based players to actually prosecute all your qualifiers and all that. Most of them won the Nations Cup for us last year, and all the bulk of them coming from home. And when you get to see these players play, you really want to convince yourself and see if they're really good enough for the national team. And of course, some of these players usually, when they get to this stage, they just wouldn't want to stay in Nigeria, and before you know it, they really want to leave. Yeah. But I really want to keep seeing these players playing in, week out in the Nigerian Professional League. And of course, LMC, what they're doing is really so well, and if they can also improve on that. I'm really looking forward to the game.
Okay,
Dolphins,
let's talk about the host.
It's going to be tight.
Let's talk about the host. I'm hoping we'll be able to get pictures from last year, Lagos. I mean, as a football fan, don't talk as a journalist, but as a football fan, what would you love to see Lagos do differently now when they host? What would you like to see? A lot has been brought into the Federation Cup, trying to bring the glamour back ever since Lagos started hosting the finals. But what would you love to see done differently? Some would say keep to time, for instance.
Yes, I think, okay, you actually took that right out of my mouth. I think that's number one, keep to time, because that is really important. If you say the game is going to start at 2, the Rivers Angels and Sunshine Queens are going to start at 12 o'clock, then let it start at 12. Then if you not say the game, you know, the final, the men's game, which is between Dolphins and of course Enyimba, if it's starting at 4, then let's start at that time. I think that will actually help people to they'll know the time they're coming to the stadium, and of course the time they're leaving. You
have to factor in the transport.
That is the transport and all that, the location and everything.
If you're bringing your kids, you're coming with your wife, if you have a car,
I think you can easily do that, because what they did last year was really awesome. I can't fault any of that. What they did last year was awesome. Apart from not keeping to time, you know, they had security checks in place. You know where you're going to park. Of course, the National Stadium turned into a car park anyway. But you had some people can also park inside the stadium, but definitely it was restricted. And of course, movement had to stop at a particular place. Then not all vehicles would get close to the stadium just to maintain security. And of course, at the stadium, there was no crowd trouble. We didn't have that. And we also have musicians actually coming in to entertain, you know, the fans and all that during halftime. I think that's something they did last year, and they can also improve on that, because before the game, you can just have some, you know, musicians, you know, some artists coming into the stadium, entertaining the fans. They have something to look forward to. You know, let it be like a jump
side attractions, like stuff like this.
Like this, where you have
the ex-internationals,
and of course,
you celebrate them. Governor of Lagos State involved in this one. You celebrate the former stars of the Challenge Cup, and you know, a whole lot of other
Federation Cup. You know, it was Challenge Cup before.
Okay.
You know, I think the hype was more when it was actually Challenge Cup. Yeah. But that's what Fashola is actually trying to bring back. That's the essence of them having to honor, you know, former international past players who have actually played in the Federation Cup. The names that we've actually forgotten, bringing them back, and they're also going to do that this weekend.
All right, I hope we'll see a good game on Sunday at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. I hope we do see a good game, and I hope it's going to be worth our while to be there. Let's read one tweet. This is interesting. Two actually. Jamilu at Aliu06 says the hangover is not over. The mark of the wound will still remain. Imagine the reigning champions can't qualify. So is disagreeing with us that the hangover is not over, and he shouldn't say that. Our good friend Kunle Phillips says that he's expecting a spectacle in the Fed Cup final on Sunday, and he's saying Enyimba is the team to beat. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think so, because if you check what happened, they knew that they were not going to win the league. After Canopilas have already won, after their game against Enyimba City, and of course they went to Dolphins. It was a draw, and for them to have been able to beat the champions 3-1, I'm looking at that. They didn't sit back and just soak up pressure. Precisely, they came out and they played that game very well. Okay. I think that should tell everyone, rather send a signal, a message to Dolphins, who were on strike for a while. I didn't want to join because they were also on salary. Okay. They mean business. I think they would definitely win the league.
Let's travel abroad, Cecilia. We're pressed for time, but let's travel abroad. There's a new whistleblower in town talking about FIFA. They're not without their own problems as well. Some point was Greg Dyke and FIFA about the Garcia report, make it public. This has been a man, another man that suffered a lot under some of these circumstances. But what's new with FIFA? Another whistleblower in town?
I'm talking about Padre Al Majid. She says she's actually having to look over her shoulders for the rest of her life, because remember,
she has evidence.
Yes, in 2011, when she actually came up that some Qatari officials actually offered money for votes, for 3 FIFA members. So then later that same year, she actually signed an affidavit that what she said was actually a lie. But later she's coming up this year and saying that, look, she was actually forced to sign the affidavit. But what I'm looking at, you have someone who actually knows so much about what happened in the bid process for the Qatar.
Well, let me ask you this. FIFA's reluctance to publish the Garcia's reports, does that, say anything? Although they have agreed to publish it.
I think maybe there's so many people. What I think, my own thought is that there's so many people involved in this, and they feel if this report is out, too many people might just, be prosecuted. Maybe that was what they were trying to avoid.
And it's going to bring FIFA down.
Precisely. Okay. And you have some countries also already named. I don't know why the finger is actually pointing to England, because they gave out notes.
It might be the scapegoat.
They might just be, and you don't even know how many countries will be involved in that. Let's just wait and see what happens, because
there were allegations that African countries were involved, but we'll wait to see what happens. It's getting interesting by the day. And let's look at the English Premier League. Of course, there's one you want to talk about, but let me run through this quickly. Chelsea take on West Brom in the English Premier League. Everton take on West Ham. Leicester take on Sunderland. Manchester City take on Swansea. Newcastle take on QPR's Queen's Park Rangers. Stoke City take on Burnley. These are some of the fixtures for you. Pick of the pack: Arsenal take on Manchester United. Crystal Palace take on Liverpool. Hull City take on Tottenham, and Aston Villa take on Southampton. Ceci, let me go to you quickly. A lot of interesting fixtures, but of course you can't take your eyes off Arsenal and in 2 minutes, and I want you to do this quickly. Let's start with Arsenal. Some have said they're in a good position to win this game because of the injuries to Manchester United. The squad is depleted now with injuries. But of course, some others will say, even when United is playing poorly, they will always beat Arsenal.
Yeah, so sometimes, I think it's more like a mental block, because I feel, like you said, I would give this to Arsenal any day. But Arsenal is a team you really can't trust. There's some games
especially
you expect them,
big teams.
Precisely, some games you expect them to win. Somehow, something gets to happen. Either they get to pick up a draw, or they might even lose the game totally. For Man United, I think it's really, I don't know if it's bad luck or something for Louis van Gaal. This is a man who felt he would just quickly pick up
in 3 months.
In 3 months. But at the end of the day, he said, man, this team, you can't even build the team for like 2 years. Looking at 3 years, 40% of his players are injured.
Some have left.
You have about 24 players now he has had injured this season alone. When you have that, that is actually huge. And he has actually used close to 30 players in different games this season.
He was forced into those situations.
Precisely, because players are getting injured. I think that's something you really need to look forward to, see how he can, maybe the training regimen or something they can really do, because it's really getting out of hand for Man United.
All right, final one, as we move away from this, what do you think will be the outcome of this game?
Yeah, I think United might just claim this one by long goals.
Okay, let's move on. It's good news for the Swiss tennis team. Roger Federer is fit to play. Couldn't play in the ATP World Tour Finals against Novak, but is fit to play today against France.
Against Guy Monfils. I explained this one of the first single rubber. But it's going to be a huge one for him because yesterday he was able to train for the first time since he withdrew from the final of the ATP World Tour against Novak Djokovic. And of course, Stanislav Wawrinka also will be in action against Joe Wilfried Tsonga.
They find a way to sort out their issues.
Precisely. Federer actually came up to say it was the media who blew it open, that when he was reading about it, he was shocked that this wasn't really what happened. You know, it was just a game, and usually they have their spats during games. And after that, you know, they made up, and the media just, you know, took everything out of hand. So both of them were ready to play this season, and hopefully they've always been passed. But people feel whenever they have issues on court and they feel they are usually take it outside the court. But they said that's not what they do. They get to play the game, and they're hoping that they can actually win it for Swiss. For the first time, they've never won it. I think that's something that is missing from.
All right, let's wait and see what happens. But of course, Cecilia, I'm not going to allow you to leave without letting you talk about Formula One and what might happen. A lot of people, you know, feel that Lewis Hamilton might be disgruntled if he doesn't win. He leads by 17 points. In spite of that, he needs to finish in the old system. Probably sixth position would have been okay. But what do you think will happen
because of the double points? I think Lewis Hamilton, all he needs to do, try not to retire, try to finish between, either win it. If you know you can't win it, then you finish second. If he is able to do that, then he wins it.
What about the old-fashioned way? Pay someone to knock out Nico Rosberg. No, that's what I'm saying. The old-fashioned way, some guys in Formula One used to do it. The old-fashioned way is look for someone.
Will the team do that for him?
No, I'm
that's
just
the thing.
I'm just joking.
No, the team
that's the easy way out.
Not do it for him. So all he needs to do is to be at his best. Just go for it, win it, or finish second. It's the clear way. Don't be like the Super Eagles, because you know you have it in your hands. So you already have that 72 points advantage.
All right. So that's how we leave it on sports this morning. We hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to do today. Join us later tonight for Sports Tonight, when we have more time on our hands and do a bigger preview of what's going down this weekend. That's the Federation Cup. On behalf of everybody that has made this program come your way this morning, and from me, Yemi Adebayo. Bye for now.